This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
But also we see the works of God through the life of Jesus. Mark 4:41 says, they were filled with great fear and said to one another, the disciples, after Jesus had remember when he had walked on the water and calmed the storm, and they said, who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him? They saw the works of Jesus. They saw what he did. It was obvious that there was some divine power here that was in control. They were seeing God. Also the miracles where Jesus did something for people. He changed their lives. And every time he did it, it was an act of love. It was an act of compassion. And John 5:36 says, the works that the Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I'm doing, bear witness about me that the Father has sent me. The very things that Jesus did revealed God. That's what he was saying. I'm doing these things because they reveal God. So you see God in the revelations that he has already given us in his handiwork, in nature, and seeing what he did through the life of Christ. But we also see God as he reveals himself, listen to this, through you. Through you. That's what Jesus said. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do. And greater works than these will he do, because I'm going to the Father. Whoa, 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 whoa. How does God reveal himself? First of all, verse 12 says, as you do the works of God. Wait. Seriously? We're to do the works that Jesus did? And what does that mean when Jesus said, even greater works you will do? What's that all about? Here's a very clear indication of what God is expecting from your life. It's in Mark chapter 16. This is what God is expecting from your life. And these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name, they will cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up serpents with their hands. And if they drink any deadly poison, it will not hurt them. They will lay their hands on the sick, and they will recover. So then the Lord Jesus, after he had spoken to them, was taken up into heaven and sat down at the right hand of God. And they went out and preached everywhere while the Lord worked with them and confirmed the message by accompanying signs. Those are the last 4 verses of the Gospel of Mark. The very last thing, according to Mark, that Jesus said to them was, this is what I expect to do in and through your life. Those who believe. If you're a believer, this is what God is expecting from you. How's it going so far? How's that doing? Wait a minute, we got to pick up snakes? No, you're an idiot if you do something like that. And these guys, and I don't know what state it is. I don't want to insult the state but I think it's Kentucky or Tennessee. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Some of those states. Some religion, some church thinks that they prove how spiritual they are by picking up snakes. And I read, did you read this a few months ago? The pastor of one of those churches was doing that and got bit and died. And so you got to think at some point that maybe that was dumb. I am saying it. That was dumb. This isn't what it's talking about. It's not a license to show off how spiritual you are. Picking up snakes to prove how spiritual you are is not spiritual. It's stupid. And really the truth of the matter is, if you're just proving it to prove how spiritual you are, that's sin. That is an action of sin. That is an action of arrogance. Now, let me show you how spiritual I am. I'm going to pick up a snake. The other thing, in Luke talks about that also. Luke mentions that Jesus said, and Jesus may have said this, more than once, that he also mentioned scorpions, that you'll, suffer the sting of scorpions and it won't hurt you. So how come we don't have churches playing with scorpions? I don't understand that. They'll play with snakes, but not scorpions. Why? Doesn't matter. You're an idiot if you play with either one of them. But the point is that you are going to be put into circumstances into these conflicts in your life. There are going to be times that happen, these things happen in your life where you are in conflict. And God said, it's in those times that I'm going to reveal my power. That's when you're going to see God at work. And these signs will accompany those who believe. And there are going to be those times when we are in situations where a demon needs to be cast out. And we always think, oh, well, that's something that the priest has to do, or the pastor has to do, or somebody like that. I've seen the movie, it's the priest that has to do it. Well, that's not what the Bible is teaching. This is the work of the believers. This is what believers are supposed to be doing. They will speak in new tongues, that also often gets interpreted as, speaking in tongues or praying in tongues. That's not what it's referring to. It's talking about languages there. And it means that we're going to go into the world and we're going to connect with other cultures and other people and introduce the word to them. That's what that's saying, because of God's authority in our lives. And there are going to be those times of conflict in our life where we don't know what to do, and we have to do something that just doesn't make any sense at all, like picking up a snake. And God's going to reveal His authority and His power. You see, God is expecting that from you. By the way, speaking of doing things that just show off, 1 Corinthians 10:9, I came across this verse and I thought, boy, does this say it all? 1 Corinthians 10:9 says, we must not put Christ to the test as some of them did and were destroyed by serpents. Uh-oh. What does that say to those churches that do that? Now, this is actually referring, I think, to Numbers 21, where some of the Israelites, when they were crossing the desert, decided to take a shortcut, and they were bitten by deadly serpents. But the point is that as Christians, we need to take God at His word, but we don't need to be arrogant about it and recognize that God reveals His authority in the circumstances and through the circumstances of our life, those conflicts in our life. Jesus' point in verse 12 there of John 14 is that once He returned to heaven, He expected His followers to carry on His ministry. And part of His ministry was to reveal God. So that means that as you do the works of God, when people are looking for God, you show up. Part of our responsibility is that if we're going to reveal God, then we need to show up when people are looking for God. Spent some time this week talking to a filmmaker who is working on some documentaries from critical incidents, things that happen where there's this major crisis, major trauma. And he wants to do a documentary following up on these about people talking about how God showed up in the crisis and how God revealed Himself during those times. Because everybody says, well, where was God when this happened? Where was God when this tornado hit? Where was God when this earthquake hit? Where was God in all of this? And he said, I want people to realize that people have these times where God shows up. He reveals Himself. And He is there. And the truth of the matter is that one of the ways that God shows up is God's people show up. That's one of the reasons why we have our First in Action team at our church, is that when there are critical incidents that we show up with God's love. It's our responsibility to be God in the crisis. Not that we are God, but that because God is in us, we show up and people see God. God reveals Himself as you do the works of God. Verse 12.
On behalf of Dan Hurst and the Open Class, we want to thank you for watching. We hope it was a blessing.